Hi, I'm Janine and this is Janine Sews. On my channel I talk about sewing a wardrobe for a woman over 50. Today I'm going to tell you about these two tops. So in my last video I showed you two Butterick patterns that I had picked up and I was planning to sew, one of which is Butterick 6788. This pattern is like a t-shirt. It's designed for moderate stretch knits. It's an easy pattern. It features a bound neckline, sleeves that are set in. It has a seam down the back, and there are 3 tucks underneath the bust. So what attracted me to this pattern? Well, I'm still working from home. I'm still spending a lot of time in front of a camera. So I like patterns that have a little bit higher neck maybe, or I can show some interesting fabric. And I also want things that are really comfortable. And honestly, I am all about knits. I love knits because they're so comfortable and I find them easier to sew and to fit than wovens. This particular pattern I liked because of the tucks. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit so you can see on this version what I'm talking about. I've actually made 2 versions of the top already. I wanted to make a toile and I happen to have this really nice cotton jersey from Fabric Mart in my stash. This is a beautiful weight. It's quite beefy, but it feels really smooth. It's not like a t-shirt that grabs and feels kind of cheap. It's a very smooth fabric. It was not expensive. It was $3.99 a yard. So I thought that I would use this for my trial version. And of course, I always make a wearable toile. So let me show you the pattern on this version. So this is like a t-shirt. It has set-in sleeves. It has a seam down the back, a bound neckline, and then the real feature of the top is these 3 tucks underneath the bust. On the pattern, there is one choice of an angled hem, and then the other choice is the straight hem. So this was the first version that I did. And I made a few adjustments right off the bat. On the back, I did a high round back adjustment because I find it helps to make things sit better on my body until I actually do some exercise and maybe try to straighten up my bad posture. So I did a 1/2 inch high round back adjustment. Also on the back, because there's this seam here, I decided to try something that I had seen in a blog earlier this year. The blogger wrote that some of us who do short waist adjustments may not really need a short waist adjustment. What we may need is more space in the hips. For me, I think I need a little more space in the butt because my bum kind of sticks out and fabric's always getting caught there. So because there was this seam in the back, I just added a little bit of extra space here by adding onto the pattern, starting at the waist point. I just graded out to the hem, adding a total of about 1.5 inches extra space here. I think it helps some. You'll see when I show you the video of me wearing this. I think it helps some. I don't think that it's a final perfect adjustment, but I think it helped a bit. On the front, these beautiful tucks, which are actually what attracted me to this pattern. I was concerned about where they were going to be placed because we all know that everything moves a little bit south as you get older. So I first measured where my bust apex was on the pattern, and then I looked at where the tucks were. And it seemed to me that the tucks were going to start about here, which was a little higher than I might like. So I moved the tucks down and I basted them, and I wound up moving them up and down and trying them in different positions before I landed on this spot, which I think is about right. I did try them a little bit lower, and the danger was for me, because I do have a rounded belly, when they were lower, they caught and they wound up tucking and highlighting my stomach instead. So I tried to find the place where I am smallest, slenderest, and gee, I like how these work. You can see on this one how it just gives some gentle shaping, and the same on this version. It just tucks you in a little bit, skims, gives a little bit of shaping. And of course on this version I did the angled hem, and I followed the pattern and did the 3/4 length sleeves. I liked it so much, I made a second version. This version is made from a viscose knit that I picked up at Olga's Fabric Lane in Calgary almost exactly a year ago. I picked out this particular fabric because I liked the print and I liked the weight of it. This is certainly a much lighter weight knit than this. So that meant there were a few more challenges sewing it, just because the fabric stretched a fair bit. On this version, I sewed the straight hem, as you saw, instead of the angled hem, and I decided to add long sleeves. So I simply added 5 inches to the length of the sleeve, and when I added the sleeve, I just did a straight line tapering down to the wrist. And they're pretty good, they're a good length, but they're a good width as well. Also on this version, I moved the tucks up just a hair, and I think that they are fine on either one. One other change I made when I made this version. The pattern calls for the sleeves to be gathered and set in, but this is a knit. There's really no need to do that with a knit. So instead, I did gather and set in the sleeves on this one, but instead on this version, on the pattern piece for the sleeve, between the 2 marks where you start and end the gathering, I just shaved off 1/2 inch, tapering of course. So taking off 1/2 inch off the sleeve head, and then I just set them in flat, and it turned out very well. I should add that I cut a large in this. Normally, for my bust, I would cut an XL, but on this, I just cut a large. Something that's nice about this pattern, because it has the tucks, you don't need to do an FBA probably, because you're going to pull in and get rid of some of the excess fabric with the tucks. I like this particular one. The fabric reminds me of some of those Chico's t-shirts, you know, a little bit crazy print. This is the same weight as one of those $59 Chico's t-shirts, but I think that this is nice because it's got this shaping. And that's really what attracted me to the pattern, was the shaping. So it's like a t-shirt, but it's a little more dressed up, a little more polished than a normal t-shirt would be. One thing that I noticed right away is that the tucks, the beautiful feature of the tucks, show up much better on a solid fabric than on a print. And it's interesting that they have a solid fabric on the front of the pattern. I think Butterick 6788 is a good choice for my shape and the way I live. I do have a couple of pieces of bamboo in my stash in solid colors, and I think I'm going to use one of them to make another version of this top. Because of course the thing I don't necessarily like about bamboo is it's a really lightweight knit, and it tends to show every bump and bulge. But with this, because there's so much ease in the body, it doesn't cling, and this just gives some shaping, so it's not a super loose, straight kind of top. So I think I'll try that. You can hear the wind. I don't know if you can hear the wind howling. There's a real storm out there. It's a beautiful sunny day. One of the challenges I'm having filming videos is light, because we're in that time of year. So I'm trying to squeeze these in the middle of the day when I can. So that's why there might be kind of a delay. But I've got. Last week we made the trek to Fabric Mart. So later this week I'm going to do just a quick video showing you the fabric that I purchased and the other stuff I purchased there. And then I have another project that is almost complete, and I will show you that as well. Still staying along the same theme of things that are comfortable, things that can be worn for at home and for working at home. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're well. Take care. I'll see you soon.